Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What is up, Steve?
Hi, how's it going?
Hi. I was trying to build a little bit of dramatic pause in there, but I don't know.
I promise I'm not always yawning.
Dude, same. Well, it can be you this time.
Anyone that watches like this on YouTube is probably
It's,
thinking like they should call this the Food for Yawncast because y'all are always yawning.
bro, it always is me.
Right?
I mean, the moment my body sits down for more than 10 seconds, it's like, oh, are we doing the sleep thing now? No.
Shit.
Calm
Tell me about it. I'm not used to
Calm
it either.
down. Seriously. Steve, what
Yeah.
you been up to? You didn't get any weather, right?
I am back in the 60s and high
Not fair.
30s. The sun's out. I can wash my
What's
vehicles
the sun?
and it is nice outside. Just light sweater weather.
Light sweater
I'm all
weather.
about it.
Yeah.
All about it.
I was very happy. We got, I think, 20 minutes of sun today. And I don't know if you've ever tried to clear a driveway of snow using a broom. It is not the right tool.
I'm gonna buy you a snow shovel.
It's not the right tool when you have a 40-year-old back. Well, in my defense, I moved to a state where I didn't think I would need a snow shovel, but this is the 5th winter weather event we've had since I moved to North Carolina. I would like my money back. Thank you.
This is like that meme where everything's on fire and the character's just like, "This is fine.
This is
That's
fine.
you."
Everything's fine. Exactly. Steven, yeah.
And bad backing and yeah.
So, and I know the people in there. So I did try to buy a snow shovel. I was late to the game. They're all sold out. I'm not willing to pay an outrageous amount. I have a regular shovel. That's really, really bad for you to try to do that. It's the exerting yourself in cold weather is how a lot of people have heart attacks snow shoveling, and they'll try to scoop it up instead of pushing the snow. But it's just fine enough powder that I was able to use a broom. And I know the people on my street were like totally staring at me and judging me. But guess what? I had a nice clean driveway to walk the dogs down this morning, and they did not. So
Let's see. So they range from
sad.
57, 46, $26. Depends on what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is the last time, and then I can suddenly remember in December this year, and then I'll be back on track.
Electric snow shovel, 11-inch, $350. Does all the work for you though.
I did see a guy on a four-wheeler today who had like a scoop on the front, and I was like, I know you think you're gonna do stuff with that, but you're not. And I watched him go up and down the street a couple times. I was like, it's not really. I think it's more for fun than anything, but I think he was trying to help. So
yeah, well, we'll have to send one your way from Texas.
That's hysterical.
I have no use for one.
Sorry. I'm gonna put it out there in the universe that I won't need one again until next year.
I'm gonna say, do you at least have something for your windshield?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Oh, so I'm looking at snow shovels. There's an ad for a nose hair scraper that you put in your nose, and it's got like little blades on it, and you put it in, you twirl it around, and it's supposed to take all your nose hairs out. How random! And I said that out loud, so my phone is gonna be blown up with ads about cleaning.
Yeah, you're gonna end up like in all the wrong algorithms now. You're gonna end up on some like nose hair fetish site or something. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna get weird.
Do you see any right now? No? Yes? No?
Nope. All clear. You got the all clear.
Okay.
Anyway, Chef Steven,
Oh,
what is the most amazing thing you ate this week?
all right. So we actually tried a new chain here in Midland called Ronies for macaronis. And
I see what they did there.
Exactly. So they grand opened, man, I want to say last month, and everyone was all there. And like the first 100 people, you could win a chance to win free mac and cheese for a year. And I just didn't want to, sit for hours to.
Did you win?
No, we left. We hung out for a little bit and then we left. But now that the hoopla kind of died down a little bit, we went back. I did a build your own. Had an Alfredo, cheddar, the sauce. It was good. I could have had a little more sauce to it because it felt kind of dry.
Mm.
And I topped it off with like chicken, bacon, pesto, mushrooms, tomatoes, onions. It was not bad. It would have been bad. Like if I was saying it would have been bad, that would have been a reflection on me because I'm the one that built my own bowl.
Sure.
But I put whatever I wanted on the screen and they built it and it just needed a little more sauce. Otherwise, it's pretty good. That jalapeno popper bread was pretty legit. So no complaints.
Well, now you know to request extra sauce the next time you're there. So
True. Very true. Because
unless
there was not
unless
pizza
this is
saucy.
unless this is a situation where you're like, we're never going back.
I mean, I can't say I'll never go back, but like I don't eat a whole lot of pasta like I used to, so it'll be a while before we go back.
Hmm.
What about you? What's the most amazing thing you've had to eat?
So it's either going to be what I made on Sunday afternoon or what I'm going to meal prep when we get done recording. So from Christmas time, at Christmas, I had made a couple of hams, like a medium and a smaller size. I kept a really good sized chunk. It was probably, I don't know. I can't put it in sports terms. Try to compare it to the size of something. It was probably a ham with a bone sticking out, a little bit smaller, maybe the size of a butternut squash. I pulled it out of the freezer yesterday and stuck it in a pot full of water and put the lid on, and I let it cook all afternoon long and like pulled all the meat off of it. I got a really good amount of meat off of it, and then I just made like an old school potato soup to put half of that ham in, and then I saved the other half for pierogies. It's in the freezer. So I'm gonna do like pierogies and cabbage and green beans. But yeah, this basic onion, carrot, celery, heavy cream. I did blend up cottage cheese for extra protein, so just melted right in, heavy cream, and kind of took that mixture and made my slurry. So just like whisked a little bit of flour in there, but I had that beautiful ham broth, all those bits of ham, onion, celery, carrot, and potatoes, some garlic, some French barbecue seasoning. I like a lot of black pepper in my potato soup, so that's what I did, and some salt. It was amazing. I didn't need much salt because of the ham, but so good. And I really have to be in the mood to eat soup, especially at home. I think I've eaten 4 times. No regrets.
That sounds like you were using everything that you had and then some.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of foods that would have been similar to when the colonial days were happening.
Yes.
Which is what we're kind of talking about today.
Using all the things. Ding, ding,
Using
ding, ding, ding.
all the things.
Steve, can I tell you really quick what I'm going to meal prep for breakfast tonight for the week?
Tell me.
I was inspired by one of our listeners and who was also a guest, my friend Melissa Thomas. Mm-hmm. And she made a high protein. Not everything has to be high protein, guys. It's just how I live my life. You do you. But she used the Kodiak pancake mix. It has a muffin recipe variation on the back. And she put a canned pumpkin puree and walnuts in it. And I'm going to do the same thing. You know that historically I don't super care for pumpkin. I like it in a muffin though. I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to add cooked chicken maple breakfast sausage to mine and crumbles. So it's going to be like a pumpkin maple sausage McGriddle muffin.
Interesting.
So I'm super excited. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be really good, and it's cold here. So it's going to be like the perfect little warm breakfast that I can take on the go with me to work. So. Yeah, buddy.
That's pretty good. I'm all about that.
Yeah. And I'm going to make banana pudding this week.
Banana pudding. How are you going to make that?
So we'll call it semi-homemade. I bought the, not the instant, but like the cook on the stovetop vanilla pudding.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do, but I've got frozen bananas, so the texture will be fine for pudding. And then I bought some sugar-free vanilla wafers and some Cool Whip, and I'm going to layer it. It's going to be really tasty. So, cool. And it has some vanilla bean paste, so I'm going to soup up the pudding base just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm super excited. Food of the Colonies, Steve.
Yeah, we've been.
Where are we starting off with? Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you know about the 13 colonies? Well, they sailed from England all the way down to this place called America. And
Well, it wasn't. It
You have your
wasn't.
different regions and
I don't
stuff
know.
like
Like the first 3 or 4 times they screwed up, and it actually wasn't what we know as the United States. But then
that. Right.
they finally figured it out.
State that is united.
This the uniting of the states.
But you had like your different regions. Like for example, you had your Virginia and Maryland region, which was mainly around like the Chesapeake Bay area in
Hmm.
Virginia and Maryland. And I apologize, but every time I hear that, I always think of Chesapeake seasoning. You know, like the boils, that kind of stuff. Like that's the first thing that I think of because I'm so conditioned to think like that. You know.
Yeah, also because it's delicious.
Yeah. And so it's crazy because like three-fourths of the people they were like less wealthy, I'll say. And so like they came as like indentured servants and like they did a lot of labor, things like that. So um life expectancy was a bit lower than from when they came from England, right? So like I was reading up on some of their diet and like Indian corn was like their main source of nourishment,
Yeah,
nourish, you know what I'm saying.
nourishment.
You know what?
You had it.
That's another word that we're just gonna add to the list of things I can't say.
You totally had it. You just
But like
doubted. You just doubted
I
yourself.
did it so well until I just threw myself under the bus. But like a lot of that, I was reading that a lot of that food leaned towards like frying, simmering, roasting, which is kind of tied into like how they eat, like in Virginia, things like that
Hmm.
nowadays.
Yeah.
And they also, let's see, the only form of cooking that was slow to develop was like their baking. They did a lot of like fricassees, and for those people who don't know what a fricassee is, it's kind of like a stew where everything's like browned in butter. Um,
Yes.
Typically, it's like chicken, rabbit, veal, things like that. But you
The
know,
Irish fricassee is kind of like the forerunner to how we know of like shallow fried chicken today.
yeah,
Um, yep.
I like shallow fried chicken. My mom used to make that when we were kids, and she always killed it. Like it was always so good. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and you have to think about that this time too, that people were mostly cooking over an open flame. So baking wasn't
Yeah.
as prevalent. It's whatever they could do with in the coals on an open hearth, like in a Dutch oven. So boiling and frying usually, unless you were a
Yeah.
really wealthy household.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like some of the common foods was that they had was like porridge, hominy with greens, salted meats, things like that, and it kind of just eventually evolved into like southern fried chicken and chitlins, things like that. So
Hmm.
that we owe quite a bit to that region, in my opinion, because without
Yeah.
that, there wouldn't be some really delicious foods nowadays.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of this food can be linked to kind of like the more Appalachian fare.
Hmm.
It's still really prevalent. Corn porridge, cornmeal mush, hominy, greens, salt cured meats, all that stuff just stayed really, really prevalent around, especially like the area that I'm in.
Yeah,
So, do you like hominy? Have we had this conversation?
hominy. I think we
Yeah.
have.
Do you
I've
like
talked.
it in pozole?
Yep, pozole and menudo.
I can't remember. Do you like grits or not?
I love grits. They're good.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
in the name that it's going to be gritty, but I do go through phases where I'm like, yes, I want the grits.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think that a lot of food came out of there. It's just so good. It's like I want to say it's almost like soul food in the sense where like a lot of love goes into like all those dishes. Because I can't tell you how many times like I've wanted to go to the East Coast because I hear like there's just so much good food out there,
Hmm.
and like there's just so much love and passion that goes into all that food, like in
Mm.
that area. Not saying that it doesn't happen around the country or around the world, but like every time I hear about food from like Virginia, the East Coast, things like that, you just always have that good old boy or that what I'm saying type of
Yeah,
mentality. So that's just me.
yeah. Well, I think it has a lot to do with the culture that this type of food was like the. It was really the predecessor of like what we would think of as slow cuisine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. What other regions were there? There was the New England region, which of
Hmm.
course, what do you think of when you think of New England?
Baked beans.
I was gonna say seafood, chowder,
And baked beans.
baked
Boston
beans.
baked beans.
I mean, a lot of wildlife, a lot of seafood. I love seafood. It's still one of my favorite things. Like I'm just a huge fan of it. Any and everything. The only seafood I'm not a big fan of, which I don't consider it seafood, is tilapia. But
Mm.
also, but I'll contradict myself because it's a bottom feeder. But I like catfish, which is also a bottom feeder. But only fried catfish. I don't know. Just me.
It's funny. I have to really be in the mood for catfish. I think that, so when we talk about the area called New England, um, obviously there's an Old England and still exists today, right?
It's just
So
called England.
just called England. So you have a couple of different people groups that came over, right? You actually have the Pilgrims, which were like a splinter group of really, really radicalized religious fanatics, even more so than like the Puritans. And then you have like the earlier settlers who would kind of just dot all of the East Coast of what we now call the United States. But interestingly enough, like they would try to recreate dishes from home, but they would have to do it with what was available here.
Yeah.
So it kind of changed the way that a lot of people approach food. I can't imagine going to a new country in a different time that we live in, right, without any guidance of like, I can't ask Google what X, Y, and Z is. That's terrifying. Terrifying. Not knowing, like coming to a new country without any knowledge of what's there. Maybe it's full of things that, want to eat you, or it's disease or famine or whatever it is. It's like the fact that they developed some of the cuisine that they did is really incredible.
Yeah.
So,
Although, circling back to your whole baked beans dish, who thought of baking beans? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because I'm so used to it like being cooked, stovetop, never baked, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Well,
All the way to the Mayans, though, the process of baking beans, but baking very different from like what we would say.
yeah, because
They
nowadays
didn't have like an
baked
oven
beans
to
are
put it
very
in.
sweet.
Yeah,
Or just
yeah. That's the Heinz company. Totally. That's just
They
totally
ruined
like H.J. Heinz sometime in the 1800s. But yeah, when we think about baking beans, it's like first peoples of the Americas. So the people would have been here before the people that came over for the colonies. And then all the way back to the Mayans in the 1500s. They would mix together like mixed beans, a lot of varieties that aren't available today. And they would put it in an earthenware pot and they would put it in a pit and they would line the pit with hot rocks. So kind of like barbacoa.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I like them. I like baked beans a lot.
They're good. I'm not saying anything negative about it.
Oh yeah, no. I adore them.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit too much. And my big guilty pleasure is putting baked beans into a baked potato and putting really sharp cheddar cheese on top. So
Interesting. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I still to this day, I don't think I've ever done that.
you should try it.
I'm thinking about if I've ever done it. I don't know. But
Hey,
yeah.
I think if 2025 was the year of protein, 2026 has to be the year of fiber.
Oh,
All the people out here just eating loads of protein and can't poop. I'm just saying it here, folks. 2026 could be the year of fiber.
welcome to the
Eat your beans. Eat your beans.
Yeah.
Eat
beans.
your beans.
So
All right.
moving on to a different area.
Yeah. What else do they eat?
The Delaware Valley, the Mid-Atlantic region, things like that, where it was very Quaker centric, if you will, where they were kind of similar to like the Puritans, where they were very strict they were very regimented, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that was through like religious teachings, things like that. But I would imagine it was also very strict as far as their diets, because I was reading that they were just very plain and simple. But
yeah, they didn't eat tea or milk.
One of my favorite things that came from that is scrapple.
The scrapple,
which we've talked about many times.
I think of all the things, right, is like we can't eat butter because it's considered too because it's considered like a sinful. But yeah, we're gonna make scrapple, which is also like really Despicable.
We also had like animal fat. So, well, I mean,
Sure. No, I don't know. I just think it's funny. That's like, you can't eat this, but you can eat that.
yeah.
I don't
But
know. All right. Tell me all the ways you've had scrapple.
I've had fried scrapple, pan fried scrapple. That's about it.
That's about all I got
Very
to say
simple.
about that.
Very simple. I've only had it like two different ways, and both ways are delicious. So, yeah.
So the scrapple that we know today kind of comes in like a brick. It's very similar to Spam, and the one that they made then would have been like cooked in a pot.
Yeah.
Far less appealing to me, but they had to get there somehow. So
Yeah.
I'll forgive them that they couldn't figure out how to shape it into a metal square shaped can. But yeah, it was like a pudding made in a pot with like meat scraps and different grains. So
Yeah.
yep.
Let's see. Um, travelers also note like the apple dumplings.
Ooh.
It's almost like a daily dish, like in or it was, because we're talking past tense, in the Delaware Valley, and a lot of cookbooks like I've noticed like that come from that area have like their own award-winning like apple type of like pudding or dumplings or things like that. And of course, whenever I think of apples, I think of apple pie, but apple dumplings, apple puddings also sound really good.
Have you ever made apple dumplings? Because I have.
No, I haven't.
So this is like a very modern take on it, but essentially you can just core and slice an apple into like eighths. And the really easy thing to do is just take either a can of crescent rolls, which will get you 8, or biscuits. And either way, you can get to 8 portions, but just like cinnamon, sugar, butter, and then wrap the dough around the apples and then bake them. That's it. You can make a caramel. You can put a little heavy cream in there. People on TikTok use Sprite. I don't care for that method, but because I want the dumpling part to be crispy.
Yeah.
Not like a chicken and dumplings, but I think that would be really good too. No, like Greek yogurt, a little bit of bread flour, brown sugar, roll out dumplings and cook them in like stewed apples. I think that would be delicious.
Yeah.
Basically like fried apples and like sweet dumplings instead of savory. So basically replacing the chicken and dumplings with apple.
I need to try that.
You would eat it. You would love it.
I would eat it, and I would eat it good.
Do you know the thing I'm most sad about that they didn't have is Fresca. They didn't have it at that time, so I'm not quite sure I would have been able to survive. I don't know. Did they really live though?
Right.
Did they live?
You know what also came from a Quaker like cuisine?
Is it the oatmeal?
Yes.
No.
Ever since I was a little boy,
I kid.
associated Quakers with oatmeal.
I kid. Tell me what else came from it.
Cream cheese kind of had its origins from Quaker cooking.
Nice.
It was it wasn't like true cream cheese, but like they would like during the colonial times, it was made with like rennet or curds, or it was not, but like rather cream that was warmed gently and then allowed to stand like wrapped in cloth.
Nice.
Until it became like a semi-solid. So that's kind of the origins, but not really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a farmer's cheese that they put in what we would now call a cheesecloth, but it probably just looked like a piece of linen.
Yeah.
Nice. What about, did they have bagels though? That's the important piece.
Couldn't tell you.
Did they have bagels to eat the cream cheese on?
No, but they probably had oatmeal.
They probably had bread for sure.
They had to have had bread.
They totally had bread.
They totally had bread. Totally.
So a little cream cheese, scrapple, crumpet sandwich. Just saying.
With tea.
I like it.
I don't know. It's
exciting.
It's all, yeah. But like it makes you wonder like what their diet really, consisted of.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like when they were first forming before the American Revolution, things like that. Speaking of which, if you ever go to Philadelphia, you need to take one of those tours and like the American Revolution tours, the American
Mm.
Revolution Museum. So interesting. So I I don't want to call it fun, but like I thoroughly enjoyed myself like learning about what life was like, what took place during the American Revolution, things like that, like the history of our country, you know?
You can have fun. I mean, just because they weren't necessarily having fun, you can have fun
Yeah,
learning. That's okay.
that's true.
That's
That is very true.
all
But
right.
like I know a lot of their diet had to have been like crops and stuff that they grew themselves, you
Yeah.
know? What do you think what do you think life was like pre-American Revolution? What kind of crops
Um,
would you have grown?
well, I was thinking about the last time we talked about kind of breakfast and how it became officially breakfast, right? Like
Uh,
the Industrial Revolution, people having to leave the house before the sun came up, and et cetera, et cetera. And so before that, most of the meals, you could have 2 or 3 meals a day, but they weren't based on anything except for like, this is what we have available.
mm,
And so I do know that when they would break their fast in the morning, it would mostly just be whatever was left over from the night before. So it could
yeah.
be game, it could be fish that they had, it could be vegetables. In elementary school, we learned about the three sisters, right? Squash, corn, beans.
I don't remember that, but
You don't
I was
remember
about that later in life.
that? Well,
Yeah.
everything's always come down to food for me, so I remember vividly. But it's because the crops work really well with each other. So
I
you,
probably would have been one of those people who just starved to death because like I can't grow like I
yeah,
could grow like small bell peppers, things like that,
yeah.
but and that's about
The
it.
the beans give nitrogen back to the soil. The stalks provide a uppinning for the vines, and et cetera, et cetera. And then they're all like really beneficial for each other. So you plant them together.
Yeah.
They didn't. The people who settled didn't know that. They learned it from the indigenous peoples. But yeah, essentially, it was any game you could get a hold of. You might have some wheat flour if you could, or whatever grain, but you would have to mill it into flour. So that would be your porridge or your dough, but it was unleavened.
Yeah.
Whatever you had was unleavened, and then so it was probably just like a really flat bread, and then whatever greens you could find. And I mean, God forbid you picked something that was poisonous if you were having to forage to survive.
I'm sure people learned about it along the way.
Oh yeah. Well, I hate to be the guy that learned it the first time.
They also probably had cast iron stomachs.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean like can you imagine just growing crops and just like trying to figure out like how it grows best, how much to water it, taking care of it, things like that, you know?
I
Or
told you I'm on a blacklist for plants, so if I can't purchase house plants, like then also no.
yeah. Or
So
even like hunting or growing animal or like raising animals to like just kill them. Nowadays
mhm.
it's kind of tough because like if you're on a farm, yeah, you're commercially growing it, but like you grow or you raise your own animals like my brother has like cows and pigs and chickens and all sorts of stuff and he won't eat any of those animals other than like the eggs that the chickens lay or his turkeys and stuff.
Mm.
But I'm just like, yeah, like you name everything, and some people. I wonder if they had the same issues. Kids would name the sheep or the cows, and then of course, gotta eat them. So I don't know.
It's interesting to think about it from that point of view. I'm not quite sure. Maybe they had a dog that they said this isn't food. And, interesting to think about how it comes around keeping of pets, right? Domesticating animals.
Yeah,
All right.
I would thrive a lot off of like hunting deer and stuff because I don't name my deer if I
Mm.
happen to come across a deer and I get it, great. But I'm also gonna use like every part of that deer or as much as I possibly can. But
Yeah,
if
well, you definitely wouldn't have a choice. And I mean, and then they learned those methods. Like, we have modern day jerky, but they would learn about things like pemmican from the indigenous people,
yeah,
like long-term storage and like preservation of the meat, mixing it with spices and maybe like dried fruit um,
yep,
to eat it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Up in the northern colonies, Steve, they grew things like turnips, onions, cabbage, carrot, and parsnips,
Yep.
along with pulses, which is a fancy name for beans, and also lentils, and then legumes. So,
Yep. They also did like cucumbers and a lot of squash, I would imagine.
hmm
Pumpkins and gourds and
I love squash. It's so good.
yeah. I don't know. I'm still up on like I would have been hunting a lot of deer. Like I would have made my money hunting deer and selling meat and fur.
Yeah,
That would be my thing if I was alive back then.
yeah.
Where's Steven at? Oh, he's probably hunting more deer. Well, I guess with a different accent, not southern, you know. But I'm
It
sure
could be.
they killed like everything that was in their way that was like an animal, like buffalo. I'm sure they did fishing, turkeys, bears. You think they killed bears and ate bears?
Yeah, I think so.
I've never eaten bear. I know you can, but I'd be about that.
Well, it would be a really long time before anybody placed importance on like the extinction of species or scientific study or kind of like those social mores about what it is okay to eat and what it isn't okay to eat.
Yeah.
You know, I think that kind of the tide was turning on horses right around that time. They were seeing them as service, not quite companionship or pets or even family animals quite yet, but we know that in Paris they would eat it. It is still consumed in other areas around the world today. Turtles, Stephen. Turtles were considered a delicacy. They ate a boatload of them. The colonists did
I
because
would eat.
they were used to having them also in Europe. So
I would try turtle.
yeah, well, that's how we have mock turtle soup now. Is they were overfished and over harvested, and then you couldn't get it, but people still consider it like a status symbol. So
Yeah.
they came up with mock turtle soup to kind of mimic that dish.
So is it kind of like when like soy riso in a sense where it's not real, it's mock?
I think this is more like when you use um, haddock in place of lobster. Like
Yeah.
it's like it would be like poor man's turtle, in other words.
Yeah.
So, but definitely real seafood.
I would
So,
imagine they did a lot of cooking with like animal fats and stuff like that for
hmm
flavor.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
how did they preserve it though? That'd be my question.
Well, it's kind of like shortening today, right? If it's at room temperature and it's unadulterated, like if you filtered it and it doesn't have any debris in it, it will stay good for a
Yeah,
really long time.
I can
Just
see
saying.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the winter, yeah, I could see that being like super easy, because it would just solidify pretty quick. But like in the summertime, I wonder how long that lasted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to think about this is kind of like the first part of, it's what came before the frontier, like the big Western expansion. So on the frontier, you could build like a darkened sod house to keep things really, really cool. You could have a root cellar. You would dig out like part of a basement, right? Like they figured out that things underground or closer to the ground, those spaces were cooler. And then, before there was refrigeration, like they kind of learned what would keep the best in which space, right?
Yeah.
So they figured out that you could bury some of your crops. If you didn't cut the greens off them, they'd last longer. Like carrots could last almost the entire year. But nothing would happen to potatoes. They figured out that you
Yeah.
could store things better in the dark than in the light. So I'm sure it just took some experimentation, but no different than animal fat. They built larders. You know, we know that in the colonies they churned butter. The most important thing to do for butter is like to get the water and the whey off of it. The
Yeah.
buttermilk is sour and it'll continue to make the butter sour and it lets bacteria get to it. That the fat is like really, really stable and stays good for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
The one thing I do remember reading is like lobsters were just so common, like in the New England area, that like people would always like treat it like it was trash, kind of like how chicken wings used to be considered, like peasant food. Like lobsters used to be like that, and they would also use it to like feed the animals, like pigs and stuff like that. Like that's the
Yeah.
one thing that I'll always remember.
So interestingly, I actually had remembered reading the same thing, but then we had, our former guest, he's been on 2 times, David Page, the creator of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. He wrote a book called Food Americana, and he dispelled this myth. He actually, before you became official co-host, while you were a recurring guest, he came on and was like, it's an absolute myth. It's not published anywhere. It's urban legend about the lobsters being fed to prisoners and being treated like garbage fish. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
Yeah. He basically read me the right act while we were recording. I was like, okay, fair enough. He was like, yeah, that's why I didn't put it in my book, because it's not true. I was like, okay, you win.
You know what?
So, you win.
Power.
So
Yes.
funny.
Always good to learn stuff like that, though.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine. Like, I won't say I dislike it so much. I like lobster so little. I prefer it so little that I can't imagine living in a place where it was like super duper common if it was all I had to eat, because it is a giant cockroach and I'm not a fan. So it's a cockroach.
It's also cholesterol, so there's also that.
It's a cockroach.
Full of cholesterol.
So
what about alcohol? Like, what kind of alcohols do you think they had?
So they totally had whiskey, and they had rum, and then they had claret, which is just the English word for any wines that are produced in the Burgundy area, but I like it because it sounds punchier and fancier.
Hello,
claret. Hello, claret. Yep. Exactly.
That is.
I remember when I learned that, I thought I had been like duped. I was like, dude, seriously? I thought I was drinking something special. I was like, no, I don't want the Merlot. I want a claret. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
whatever you say there.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. I wonder what all that tastes like. Like what early whiskey, rum, ciders, all claret. I wonder what all that used to like tasted like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's, you and I have talked about beer before, kind of how it came about. Some of the oldest recipes in the world. On that episode, we talked about how there was like beer, mead, which is basically like honey and water that was allowed to ferment. A lot of times in history, we see that some alcohol, not as strong as we know today, it probably would have been like 20 proof, 30 proof, something like that. It's safer to drink than water, depending on where you live. But yeah, they had all the same grains that we do, and I bet they tasted amazing. But there's a lot of like different, breweries, microbreweries, and there's a lot of experimentation around now that people are trying to get back to, like some of the heirloom grains and they're trying to bring back apple varieties that had previously died out and stuff, and like stuff that's more rare. And so I think there's a lot of interest there in kind of getting back to our roots, as it were. Yeah. So, but yeah, we know that molasses was part of the trade route with the West Indies. So rum was really
important ingredient for rum.
Yeah. So rum was really important.
I wish I would make a distillery of rum. That'd be cool.
Really?
A rum distillery.
A rum distillery.
That one out. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
But do you think that there was a big difference between like the northern colonies and the southern colonies? Like, do you think they were like North Colony, South Colony, like that kind of stuff? Or is it like a difference just like in diet?
Well, I think if we think about where the Pilgrims landed, for instance, they picked the place with the hardest winter. So there's several sources that say as people, were a great example is like when you get all the way to the slave trade, right? As America knows it as part of its history, like in the 1619, when you get to that space, they knew that in the South, there were crops that you could grow without water. One of those being red peas. One of those is where we get red beans and rice, but it was actually a pea. And it grows in soil that's like predominantly sandy and loamy, but you can literally sprinkle it on the soil and leave it alone and it will grow and like people can eat it. When you move somewhere like New England and everything that you can eat can come from the ocean, but you can't grow anything because it's too cold for most of the year. Yeah, I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, because like it's crazy because you can only grow food certain times of the year, like
Mm-hmm.
in that area.
Yeah.
The rest, it's like still going for seafood, things like that. I would imagine
Mm-hmm.
can't grow crops year round.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm sure they were very creative when it came to curing foods and things like that. And of course, oh, let's just put it outside. It'll stay because it's going to be frozen outside.
Yeah.
But like in the South, you can grow stuff almost year round. I can't say year round because I'm in Texas, and this time of year you can't really grow stuff. In
Well,
West Texas, you can't grow stuff either.
I'll say that the weather has probably changed a ton from
Oh.
that day and age, right? Like we've seen it. That damn El Nino.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would have been a Southern colony type of person.
Well, if you think about something like a place like Colonial Williamsburg, it's still a lot of the same beef, lamb, pork, chicken, fish, vegetables, and baked goods. Still the same stuff, right? You had turkey, you had poultry, you had crab, oyster, and trout because that's what would have been available like down here. When you get into the barrier islands and you get kind of further down to like both Virginias down to the Carolinas, Georgia, that area. You have all the same stuff like sweet potatoes, a pumpkin and squash. You've got ales, you've got cider. Virginia offered just a little bit something different though, which was peanuts.
Really?
So yeah, which is, if you think about it, a peanut is primarily a fat, but can also be a protein. So like Colonial Williamsburg, they would have eaten something like peanut soup a lot. Which in that day was like way to stay hydrated and, you could have a fat. It'll help you survive.
Interesting.
So also things like fried ox tongue. Would you try fried ox tongue?
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
I know you would.
Well, I know like I was also reading because like they also ate like squirrel, possum, rabbit, of course. I would try it. I've heard squirrel's pretty good. I've never had possum. Rabbit, of course, rabbit's delicious. But like how I wouldn't even know how to prepare that. Squirrel stew, possum. I don't know what I would make.
I think as long as you clean it correctly and dice it, you could literally just pan fry it. So anything you could do on a stove, you could do over an open fire.
The southern filet mignon.
It's so gross.
Dude, I would totally try it. I would. No joke. I would try possum.
I don't. They're so cute though.
Are they?
I can't. It's I can't. You can't put your like 21st century perspective into a 17th century brain, right? Like it doesn't really. It doesn't really make sense. Like back in that day, I would have been like, that is a rodent. That is a food source. Whereas today, I'm like, I would like to adopt one and put tiny pajamas on it.
I was just about to ask you, could you have a pet possum?
Could I have one now?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I didn't have two giant dogs that were very territorial and very jealous of anything else that wants my attention, including this podcast. But yeah, well, I totally would.
You could be like this and have a possum hanging off your arm, like.
I would.
I don't know if I could or not. Like I can't. I'm not the type of person who thinks that those things are cute.
I think it's definitely only a face that a mother could love for sure. But
just watch one day. I'm gonna have a pet possum.
You're gonna just roll up wearing one. I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait.
They're like cats. They have sharp-looking teeth, and just creeps me out. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll have to ask Dr. Laura because she's a friend of mine who's a vet to see what I have to do to have a pet possum.
I think in Texas you don't need anything special.
I mean, I have a pet Mendez who looks like a rat, mostly because she's Chihuahua.
Would you eat a rat if you had to?
If I had to, yes. If I chose to, if I had options, I would not eat rat. That's one thing where I'd be like, oh man. Like, I mean, if someone prepared it, I'd be like, I'll try it just to say I've tried it, but I would do it very reluctantly.
I think I think it would really take somebody making it and telling me it was chicken. Like I couldn't see it. You know what I mean? I want to talk really quickly though about what they drink.
What they drank.
Yeah. So we know that they drink rum. And then as the British would start taxing things, there would be boycotts. So when the Molasses Act was passed in 1733 and then the Sugar Act in 1764, they started using rye and corn to make rye whiskey and what would be later on called as bourbon, because you know that in bourbon production it has to be 51% corn or more, or it's just whiskey, not bourbon. But at that time everything was blended, so it was like it was a whiskey, and it wasn't really like normal in the colonies in the early years, and it was looked down upon. So they thought it was like debauchery. But when the Scots, Irish, and Germans came over, they had a taste for harder spirits. And then the Revenue Act of 1764 taxed Madeira and port and a whole bunch of other wines. And so Benjamin Franklin started growing grapes, and he started growing a specific grape called Vittles La Revolucion, which is where we get Lambrusco from, sweet red wine. So I think it's total garbage, but I think it's really neat that there's a historical connection there. So even the people who were teetotalers, who were part of the temperance movement or didn't support drinking alcohol because of, whatever reason or another, they would say that beer and wine was okay. That was how different the alcohol percentages were at the time between beer and wine and hard spirits. And so, so just like when they taxed the tea and we started a war over it, basically.
Called the Boston Tea Party.
The Boston Tea Party was the demonstration. But, I think it's interesting I haven't really thought about it at length. If I had moved to another country and all of a sudden the United States was like, I'm going to tax chicken, I'd be like, okay, fine. I'll eat beef. I'll show you. And then they would be like, I'm going to tax beef, right? Like, I think it's just an amazing thing that it's a lot to consider, right? When you think about how easy it is for us to get food, how much freedom we have to make the choices that we can. You know what I mean? It's mind blowing.
Yeah. I kind of wonder like how good coffee was back in those days too. Think about it. They had tea, they had coffee.
I don't know.
I wonder, like, because like coffee has evolved, though, especially over the last 260 years, 60 plus years,
Well, I have to hope that it's only gotten better for sure.
I know. Speaking of which, aren't we turning 250 years?
Pretty soon. Yep.
Oh,
it's this year. 250 years.
250 years.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought we'd see that in our lifetime.
One of the other things, Steve, I think that you mentioned was we really didn't drink a lot of beer because they needed to import the hops, and those would have been taxed as well.
So that's why they had ciders.
Cider, yeah, because it's cold enough, at least in the north, that you can leave your apple juice out and let it ferment outside. Yeah. If you do that here, you're going to have like spoiled apple juice that grows a mold on top. So, like the worst starter ever. Just saying.
What do you think like the cuisine was like during the American Revolution though?
I mean, I think it was probably just similar to whatever they were eating in their home country at the time. They just kind of had to make it work.
Some of that stuff would have been like rationed for like the troops and all that, or even the British troops who like went and took like, this is ours now, like I imagine a lot of that happened.
Yeah, 100%. So they would have like porridge, mush, corn. Maybe if they had, some hard tack, something really similar to hard tack. Maybe if they had some local greens, but I think everything else was basically, taxed or rationed or essentially tariffed so that they could. They were having to quarter British soldiers, right? So everything else would have to come to them. I imagine, depending on what part of the how close to the coast you live, that you had plenty of seafood available, but it depends on if it was safe to go get it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have been.
So
I would have still been hunting.
yeah,
Hunting. I don't know why I
yeah,
say like I'm a southerner.
hunting.
Hunting.
You are a southerner.
Texan. Yeah. But I don't know. Like I would have probably had a lot of fun with that, but I would have been kind of scared to hunt because think about it. Like you might be in a field, and the next thing you know, like American troops, British troops are just fighting, killing each other. You're like, I just wanted to kill a deer here. Like, what the hell? You know?
Well, you don't have a choice like you do now. You get drafted, and then you're going to go do that. So I'm
True.
sure a bunch of women in the household learned how to shoot a turkey or whatever it was.
Um, there was crazy because there's also like when you watch the movies and all that, there's a lot of French people who like came over here for the American Revolution to help out like the Americans.
Sure.
There was an alliance.
Yeah, we had a
So I'm
partnership.
sure they brought some really good
Lafayette.
huh?
I said, yeah, we had a partnership with Lafayette.
Yeah. But
I know that because I watched Hamilton.
Changed like because of that French influence, like because you're right, it ended up all the way down like in Louisiana, New Orleans, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know.
Well, there was like the
The
Acadian,
reaction was like,
the
what is this?
Acadian cuisine, and then there was the influence on Appalachian cuisine, and then there was like the more Arcadian and Creole. That stuff would come way later, but we did not have the romance that we would later develop with French cuisine. That did not exist during the American Revolution.
Yeah. But can you imagine like when it first started happening, like Americans probably were like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is some very good food.
This isn't British. It has too much flavor. Womp womp. I said what I said.
Right. I don't know. I'm sure it was an acquired taste,
Steve, what is one thing, one food from the American Revolution that you would want to make part of your diet today?
Apple pie.
Apple pie.
Is that one?
Fair enough.
Did I win?
Did you win? You get to stay on the podcast. Congratulations.
Wild game for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the question again?
Just is there a food that was common during the American Revolution that you'd like to make part of your diet today?
What I would continue to eat wild game.
Yes.
I like wild game food. It's good.
Nice.
Mostly because I grew up with all that kind of stuff. So
I
don't know. What about you?
Probably more greens and squash.
I like that stuff. Like it would be good too. Yeah, I need to eat more of that. But
I'm just being lazy. I need to eat it. I know how to cook it. I know how to make it taste good. Sometimes it's just not fast and I don't like it. But cooking things that are fast is a total privilege.
My problem is that
it's a modern privilege.
Portion control still. Getting there.
Well, you can't overeat vegetables.
I know. They're good for you. Don't get me wrong, but
you can't overeat them.
I like to overcook the crap out of my vegetables.
I do like really, really soft broccoli with cheese sauce from time to time. Otherwise, I want it like al dente, like in a kung pao or beef and broccoli, or I want it to have like a snap and a bite. But like apart from that, I want it to be like almost not have any life left and be covered in cheese. Neither way is wrong. Neither way is wrong. It's just what you're going to eat. Just saying.
Okay, I guess we're going to go to baking. What would have been your go-to? What do you think would have been your go-to if you were alive in those times and you had to bake something?
Cornbread.
I'd say like biscuits. Cornbread biscuits, yeah. Gingerbread.
I would have made sweet cornbread, and then I would have probably been burned at the stake for being a heretic or something silly like that, because they would be like, no, it's not supposed to be dessert. It's witchcraft. Yeah, exactly. So it's some weird turn of events. So do you know about summer pudding or Indian pudding?
Yes.
Yeah, so I like that kind of thing. Sweetened cornmeal mush with molasses. Gingerbread too, but like the actual bread, not like the cookies. We love that stuff. I like molasses a lot. Probably just a little bit too much, but I like it a lot.
Probably why you like rum.
I learned, Yeah, I like rum, but it's probably my least consumed spirit, actually.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
because of the amount of sugar it has, it dehydrates you quickly and gives you a really bad headache if you drink too much. At least that's me. But the more sugar in something, the more likely you are to get a hangover. So
Yeah.
it's
True.
the blood sugar crash. I learned something interesting this week, Steve. Did you know that sometimes farmers put molasses in their water troughs for their livestock, and it changes the surface tension so that it won't freeze, like when it's really cold outside, like it is right now, so that the animals have fresh water to drink, and it'll entice them to drink more because it's sweet. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Very cool.
fun fact. Follow me for more useless trivia.
Right.
Steve, what are you cooking this week?
Good question. I have not gotten that far. Oh, you know what? I'm lying to you. I'm going to be making some green chili pulled pork shoulder.
Yum. Are you gonna smoke it?
I don't have a smoker right now. A friend of mine bought himself a building, so I gave him my smoker so he can use it out there
Oh,
from time to time. But it was just an excuse for me to get a new smoker. So
but you haven't gotten it
I
yet.
need to get myself another smoker.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that was nice, Steven.
well, he's a good friend of mine, so
Oh,
you know, yeah. Shout out Robert Lee.
nice.
Yeah, he also makes rum, and so
Hey,
you know, I'm going to be learning a lot of stuff out
you
there
could
in that
twist my arm if you have to send me some rum. It's okay.
deal. But yeah, I think let's see, we got green chilies, onions, the of course beer paw, garlic, a little bit of broth, caldo de tomate, and we're just gonna get a good hard sear on it. We'll throw it in the oven with with some broth, and we'll just let it cook
Mm,
down. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but
I don't. Sounds like half of it needs to be tacos, and the other half needs to go on mac and cheese. I'm just saying.
breathing heavy from the amount
Yes.
of carbs I'm gonna be eating, and I'm okay
Let's
with that.
go. Let's go. I'm gonna make those muffins, the pumpkin walnut protein breakfast muffins with the
Oh yeah.
chicken maple breakfast sausage in them.
So you
Um,
said you're gonna make them like in a muffin tin, right? Or are
mhm.
you gonna make them like a pancake?
No,
Because
I'm
you
gonna
can't
make.
make griddles without
Well, it was just the flavor that I was getting at, the flavor profile.
deal.
So, but yeah, it will be a muffin. These are breakfast muffins.
Okay.
So they're gonna be breakfast muffins, and then this week I'm gonna make some granola, and I have frozen strawberries and bananas to use up. And so I'm gonna have like some half thawed, fruit in a bowl of granola would be really tasty. And then, oh yeah, pierogies, ham, cabbage, and green beans. So I have beautiful ham broth and picked ham meat, and I've got cabbage that's going to be really, really tasty. And then I braise down, and then I've got green beans in the freezer. So shout out to frozen vegetables for being the modern, like, yeah, that.
Frozen vegetables. I need to start using. I have a bag of frozen berries, and I've had it in
Mm-hmm.
there for a while. So I just need to start blending that up with protein shakes.
Pie.
Good snacks.
You can make pie.
Mm, yeah, I could, but I don't know. The thought of a berry and vanilla or chocolate protein shake all blended up just sounds really appetizing right now.
It does sound really. I love a protein shake or a smoothie when it's cold outside, or when it's hot outside, but not right now when it's cold outside. But I think we're like a full 30 degrees cooler than you are right now. So
You can keep it.
so all I want is like soup.
Unpopular opinion. I am ready for the summertime. Don't care.
Yeah, I want the springtime.
Spring is lovely.
I'd
Yes.
like to get some more vegetables in my rotation. I'd like to buy some chayotes and some summer patty pans, and I'd really like to have some different fruits, and I would love to have a melon back in my diet, and it's just fruit that doesn't taste like crap and has some flavor, and all there is apples right now. I love you apples, but you're not enough on your own. So
Yeah. The only problem about West Texas springtime is that we get hail. So yeah.
rough.
Otherwise, no. I mean, it's a beautiful time of year, but summertime, It's hot. You can walk around in shorts and a muscle shirt and no one cares.
Mm,
You do
dang.
that when it's 30 degrees outside, people look at you like you're crazy. Because I do.
You are crazy.
Oh, you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even know like what's baseline normal. Normal's a joke.
Define normal.
So, yeah, define normal. If there is a normal that's different than the way I am, I don't want to be that because I love me.
I like meat too.
I like me for me. Yeah, buddy.
Well, you go have fun playing with your food. I'm going to play with food, but another day.
Yes. I think there's some pasta, not sugo. What's the pink sauce? Like a rosa. Yeah. Like half bechamel and half marinara. It's coming. There's lasagna bolognese coming and spaghetti with a pink sauce coming. So
lovely. I can't wait.
All righty. Yeah. Hey, Steve, I had a blast talking. We got to go.
Okay.
Okay, bye.